Hello friends, welcome to Dungeons & Dragonfly, where I adapt various characters for use in D&D. I'm Dragonfly9078, and for today's build, we're building the Great Daruk from Breath of the Wild. For a bit of background, Daruk was the great hero of the Gorons, who was chosen to pilot Divine Beast Varudanya as the Goron champion. He's a larger-than-life figure, boisterous and friendly, who cared deeply for his people and his friends. After falling to Fireblight Ganon, his spirit was trapped for 100 years. When he's finally set free by Link, he gifts Link the power of Daruk's Protection, a magic force field that can deflect any attack. So what do we want from this build? Well, Daruk is a Goron, so we need to be as big as a mountain, and tough as stone, with all the strength of a raging fire, mysterious as... wrong character. Next, we'll need our signature power, Daruk's Protection. Or just Protection, I guess? It's kind of weird to call it Daruk's Protection when we're Daruk, but whatever. And finally, I know Age of Calamity is questionably canon, but it did give Daruk some cool earthbending abilities, so we'll pick up some of those as well. Looking over at ability scores, I'll be using the standard point array. If you want to roll for stats, that's fine, just keep an eye on your strength, wisdom, and charisma for multiclassing. Gorons are kind of like living rocks, and they have the stats to match. Can you break rocks? Yes, 14 strength. Are rocks fast? No, so we'll dump dexterity. Are you tough as a rock? Yes, so constitution is high. Are you dumb as a rock? Well, no, you're smarter than most people would think, but you still aren't a deep thinker, so intelligence is 10. Are you wise as a rock? Okay, the metaphor kind of breaks down, but 4 out of 6 isn't bad. 12 for wisdom because you have decent intuition and a straightforward way of thinking, and 13 for charisma because that straightforward and honest nature makes you good at making friends. There's no Goron race in D&D, but there is another race of big, strong rock people whose name starts with a G-O, so Goliath is a perfect fit. We get +2 strength and +1 constitution, making both 16. We're a natural athlete with a powerful build, meaning we have proficiency with athletics and count as one size larger for determining our carrying capacity, as well as being mountain-born. With this, we don't take penalties from being at high altitudes, as well as getting resistance to cold damage. Gorons are born on Death Mountain, so that checks out. Death Mountain's a volcano, though, so cold resistance doesn't help much. Maybe ask your DM if you could switch it to fire resistance instead. Finally, we get Stone's Endurance. Once per short rest, as a reaction when we take damage of any kind, we can reduce that damage by 1d12 plus our Constitution modifier. Take the Folk Hero background for proficiency with animal handling and survival, so we can pilot our Divine Beast and eat rocks, respectively. We'll also get proficiency with land vehicles, though personally I'm inclined to switch that out for Mason's tools. Up to you, though. The Gorons do have minecarts, so you might need to drive around. We'll start off with a 1-level dip into Fighter, mostly because I like having proficiency in Strength and Constitution saves better for Daruk than the ones for his other classes. We also get 2 skills. Insight and Perception will help us keep a lookout for problems, whether those problems are falling rocks or friends arguing, as well as Second Wind to let us regain 1d10 plus our Fighter level HP as a bonus action once per rest. For our fighting style, Daruk uses a massive weapon called the Boulder Breaker that I would peg as a maul, so great weapon fighting will let us reroll 1s and 2s on our damage dice for a weapon we're wielding with 2 hands. I know Daruk only uses 1 hand for the Boulder Breaker, but Link uses 2, and look at it, it's huge. It's clearly a maul, not a warhammer. Daruk is just like 9 feet tall and super strong. Anyway, we'll jump over to Sorcerer now for the Stone Sorcery origin, because Stone Sorcery gives us 2 things that we need, Rocky Skin and a Force Field. Stone's durability helps us shore up those Sorcerer hit dice by giving us an extra 1 HP per Sorcerer level. It also lets us use our action to make our skin hard and stony, making our AC 13 plus our Constitution modifier while we're not wearing armor. This effect lasts until we put on armor, we're incapacitated, or we choose to end it as a bonus action, and there's no limit to the number of times we can use it. We also get the ability to give a friend within 60 feet a Stone Aegis as a bonus action, which is a defensive aura that reduces incoming bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage by 5 for a minute or until we're incapacitated or give the aura to someone else. Also, if a creature attacks our protected friend in melee, we can use our reaction to teleport next to the attacker and make a melee attack, dealing an extra 2d10 force damage if we hit. We can only do this if we're on the same surface as the attacker, so I think the flavor is like traveling through the ground. I'm not entirely sure, but there's no limit on how many times we can give out the aura or use the teleporting reaction, so I'm not complaining. We'll also get a Font of Magic and 3 metamagic options to enhance our spells. Flexible casting lets us exchange our spell slots for our sorcery points and vice versa. Seeking Spell costs 2 points, lets us re-roll a missed spell attack roll, and unlike most metamagic options, can be used even if we've already used a different metamagic on the spell. We'll also pick up Distant Spell to double the range of a spell with a range of at least 5 feet, or give a touch spell a range of 30 feet, as well as Extended Spell to double the duration of a spell with a duration of at least 1 minute, up to a maximum of 24 hours. We get 3 ability score improvements from Sorcerer, bump Strength and Constitution up to 18 each, and add 1 to Wisdom and Charisma to make them 13 and 14 respectively. And now that our Wisdom is high enough to multiclass, we'll finish off with 7 levels of Protection Domain Cleric. We're here for exactly one reason. Protection Domain Clerics get Odaluk's Resilient Sphere as one of their domain spells. Odaluk's Resilient Sphere is a 4th level abjuration spell that encloses a large or smaller target in an impenetrable sphere of force for up to a minute, depending on your concentration, that completely protects him from all damage. Nothing can pass through the barrier, so you can trap an enemy that fails a dex save in it, but I definitely prefer it as a defensive option. The creature inside can move up to half their speed by pushing on the sides of the ball, and somebody outside can pick the ball up and move it around, as it does make whatever's inside weightless.
Hello friends, just wanted to pop in with a quick correction. I said that the Resilient Sphere makes whatever's inside weightless, but that is actually not correct. The sphere itself is weightless, but the creatures inside do still have weight. Otherwise, the sphere and everything in it would just blow away in the wind or be knocked away whenever somebody attacked it. So, the sphere is weightless, but whatever's inside is not. Alright, back to the build.
We'll also get Shield of the Faithful, letting us use our reaction to give disadvantage to an attack aimed at a creature next to us, and Blessed Healer, letting us regain HP when we heal other creatures. But we're not a healer, so Resilient Sphere is definitely the draw. All clerics also get to channel their divinity, and since we're at least 6th level, we can use ours twice per rest. Turn Undead forces a Wisdom save on any Style enemies within 30 feet, making them run away from us, or if they're lower than CR 1/2, outright destroying them on a fail. And Radiant Defense gives us another way to use our force field. We can choose an ally within 30 feet, and the next time a creature hits that ally in the next minute, the attacker takes 2d10 plus our cleric level radiant damage. We'll finish up with one last ability score improvement, and it's really dealer's choice here. Capping Strength would make you hit harder, capping Constitution would give you 1 more HP per level and 1 more AC, or you could pick up a strong feat like Great Weapon Master, but personally I would go nice and simple with the Tough feat for an extra 40 HP at level 20. Looking over at spellcasting, we ended up as effectively a 19th level caster. We'll get a handful of cantrips like Mold Earth to quickly excavate dirt, and Light so we can see down in the mine shafts. For higher level spells, Shield is actually closer to how Daruk tends to use his protection, to increase his defense as a reaction to getting attacked. Expeditious Retreat lets us curl into a ball to dash with our bonus action if we need to move quick, and Erupting Earth makes the ground explode in a 20-foot cube within 120 feet of us, dealing 3d10 bludgeoning damage to each creature in the area who fails a dexterity save and making the whole area difficult terrain. We can use Stone Skin to make our skin even rockier, or to protect a friend, giving them resistance to non-magical bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage for up to an hour with concentration, and Globe of Invulnerability is yet another force field. This one completely stops all 5th level or lower spells from affecting any creatures in a 10-foot radius for up to a minute, though it doesn't stop someone from just walking up to you and hitting you with a sword. And finally, Investiture of Stone will coat you with bits of rock, giving you the same resistance as Stone Skin, but also letting you swim through solid rock and use your action to shake the ground under you, knocking any creatures in a 15-foot radius prone if they fail a dexterity save. Now that the build is complete, the question becomes, how good is it? Well, it turns out having an impenetrable force field is just as OP in Dungeons & Dragons as it is in Zelda. Who knew? Even without Resilient Sphere, you also have a ton of options for increasing your AC and reducing damage. Most of your defensive options can also be applied to your allies as well, so you're a solid defensive support, and you even have a little bit of battlefield control, with ways to both create and ignore difficult terrain, and knock enemies prone to restrict their movement even further. On the other hand, your defense is great, but your damage output is not. You only get 1 attack per round, your low save DCs make your spells unreliable for damage, and your best defensive option, Resilient Sphere, actually stops you from attacking. You also have a lot of concentration spells, meaning you can't have Resilient Sphere on yourself and Stone Skin on a friend, so you'll often have to pick who to protect. Finally, you have lots of actions and lots of reactions, but practically no bonus actions, and the few spells we have that use our bonus action also require concentration. So most of the time you'll be picking one thing to do and sticking with it. But honestly, that's kind of in character. Daruk is a big, slow-moving guy who turns into an immovable object to protect his friends. Stand there, soak up the hits, and knock them down until they can't get up again.
Let those other champions know. They better eat their gravel if they want to keep up with Daruk.
I hope you enjoyed the build. If you have any feedback or characters you'd like me to build, please leave them in the comments below. I'm currently building all 4 champions from Breath of the Wild, but after them I'll be back to taking requests. Thank you for watching, friends. I will see y'all later.